Growing up as a twin was a unique experience for me. My sister Amber and I shared a lot of moments that only twins could understand, whether it was pulling off last minute pranks in school or switching places during a test. Those were the carefree days where we could sneak out undetected or fool our parents into thinking we were each other. However, as we transitioned into adulthood, things changed drastically, revealing a more complex and chaotic reality. Fast forward to now, and my life seems to be unraveling at the seams. Recently, when my fiancé Nick faced the absurdity of my sister impersonating me to attend an important social event, I felt blindsided and utterly betrayed. It was an act of sheer madness that I couldn't comprehend. Early this morning, instead of waking up to loving text messages from Nick, I found over 10 angry messages waiting for me. He was livid, seeking answers to why my sister and I would pull such a stunt. He warned me that it could have ended terribly and expressed his disappointment in me, stating that I should have simply let him know I couldn't make it instead of sending Amber in my place. As I read Nick's messages, it felt like someone had doused me with cold water. My mind raced as I tried to piece together what had happened the previous night. I could hardly remember. After an exhausting shift at the hospital, I'd gone straight to bed. Confused and still groggy, I asked Nick to explain, and he retaliated with a photo that shattered whatever illusion I had left. Amber was there, draped in the dress I had intended to wear, a deceitful reflection of me that left my heart pounding in anger. In a split second, I felt rage seeping through my veins. I stormed into the living room, finding my sister casually munching on breakfast as if she had not single handedly set off a storm in my life. The sight of her smug face made my blood boil. When she caught my glare, she swallowed her bite nervously, but quickly masked her discomfort with a nonchalant smile. I demanded an explanation. All she gave in return was a feeble shrug. She claimed she did it to help me out, as I had missed so many of Nick's events lately. Amber, this is between Nick and me. You had no right to step in and cause chaos. My voice trembled, filled with rage and disbelief at her audacity. She merely brushed off my feelings, claiming that nobody besides Nick had realized she wasn't me, and added that people were relieved to see me at the event. Yet here I was, neck deep in my medical studies and wedding preparations, facing ridiculous rumors I never had time for. Just then, my mom exploded onto the scene, siding with Amber. She claimed I was out of line, that I should be thanking my sister for coming to my rescue since I'd been too sick to attend my engagements. I shot back, reiterating that I never asked anyone to go in my place. I had already communicated with Nick earlier that day. It was crucial to me, but my mom insisted I was ungrateful and reminded me how lucky I was that a successful man like Nick chose me. My head spun as I tried to absorb the depth of my mother's words. She argued that there were many others who could easily catch Nick's attention and replace me. Why not date someone in the same field, she said. Only another doctor would understand your demanding schedule. A man like Nick needs a trophy wife. Her words felt like daggers, further undermining my years of hard work and dedication to my career. Amber and I have always been different. She sails through life with ease, embodying glamour and charm, constantly making waves in the modeling and acting world. In contrast, I've devoted myself to academia, navigating the rigorous path of becoming a doctor. Sometimes it leaves me feeling overshadowed, and it's painful to think that people often assume my sister is the one engaged to Nick because they share common ground in the entertainment industry. When I saw Amber don my wedding dress yesterday during a fitting, it pushed me over the edge. It was as if everything I'd worked for was being stripped away at that moment, and I needed space to breathe. That day at the bridal store was supposed to be special, but it turned into a nightmare as I stumbled upon her flaunting the dress that was meant for my big day. To make matters worse, my visit to the hospital today only compounded my feelings. My step-grandmother, Mary, noticed that I was off and took the opportunity to ask how I was feeling. As I shared the ordeal, tears flowed. It feels like nothing is truly mine, I confessed. It's almost as if my sister is waiting for me to slip so she can snatch everything away from me. I vented to Mary, who was genuinely supportive, offering to help with aspects of the wedding planning. She was kind and understanding, allowing me to feel a little lighter despite the chaos surrounding me. Yet deep down, I knew I needed to confront Amber about what she had done, but I dreaded the confrontation. Soon after, I caught wind of more trouble brewing at home. I never expected what happened next when we had a family dinner where my mother couldn't help but bring up my wedding preparations. The conversation quickly spiraled into a quarrel between my mom and Mary, with my mother throwing disparaging remarks about why I was allowing Mary to help. That's when my grandfather, who usually kept a low profile during family squabbles, exploded. He slapped my mother across the face and demanded respect for what I was going through. The moment was surreal. My grandfather, a man who rarely raised his voice, insisting that my mother and sister recognize the mess they created. "Enough is enough," he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. My mother remained in shock, desperate to turn the blame back on me. That night drove me to seek solace at my grandfather's house, unsure of what my next steps would be. Living under the same roof as my mother and sister felt suffocating. A week later, things spiraled even further. Amber attempted to visit Nick at the hotel where he was staying before our wedding, wearing nothing but an overcoat over her lingerie. Nick, having been forewarned about her antics, recognized her immediately and refused her advances. He called security to escort her out, which, while ultimately amusing, was yet another chapter in this bizarre saga. Post-wedding, I thought things would quiet down, yet they escalated in a way I didn't anticipate. My sister and mother had to grapple with the consequences of their actions, and the fallout began to affect me too. As I settled into married life, I discovered increased scrutiny at work, whispers behind raised brows. Ultimately, the situation reached its tipping point. My mother and sister, now estranged from the family, sought to leverage their way back into the narrative. My sister even faced legal ramifications for her erratic behavior. She was charged and had to register as a sex offender after that night at the hotel. It was a shocking turn of events that tainted her career. As I review everything that has transpired, I understand that this twisted narrative shares lessons in familial loyalty and the true burden of ambition and rivalry. Through it all, I emerged stronger. No longer engulfed in self-doubt regarding my relationship with Nick, I began to appreciate the love we share. Reasoning that I'm finally free from the shadows of my sister's schemes redoubled my determination to focus on our future together. Now, with Nick, I look forward to building our life away from these dramas. I know we have each other's backs, and I'm relentlessly determined to chart my path, no longer needing to prove myself, either to my family or to anyone else. The upcoming chapter of our lives promises a fresh start.